We'll see.
Yep. All right, we're live. Give you guys a chance. Once you guys see this and you guys can hear the audio and everything, if you guys can just let me know. We got 8 people jumped on already. Awesome. So just doing a little sound check. I think we should be good, but if you can let me know in the comments how the audio sounds and if the video is looking okay. It's a little grainy, man. It's 2024, Benji. Got to amp up on the technology a little bit, but it's what we have. I had the option of upgrading the stream through StreamYard, but you got to pay for it to get 1080. So we just stuck with 720 tonight. What's up, Eric? Chinguya. Oh, it's a commercial? Now I fish. Welcome. What the? Okay, is everyone in commercial? If I can get a couple more people telling me how everything's looking and sounding. What's up, SoCal Sam? Welcome. Want to welcome everyone. Give everyone a few moments to jump on here. We got 9 people, and we just got a little pre-Christmas, end of the year hangout. Anytime you got a chance to have Mr. Kanuli in the house, we'll make time. You know. All right. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. SoCal Sam, no, I've done streams. I've done a handful. I haven't done one in a while though. I think the last one I did was way back in March, but I think a couple years ago I was doing maybe once a month, like during the peak months of the fishing season. Rhymes with Orange, hello, welcome. All right, thank you guys for the feedback. Trackysone, I always, I know you were a member here and there of the channel. I always mix up your name with your handle. So if you can remind me of your name, because I always forget it and I feel so bad, but I'd rather ask rather than pretend. Oh, we got 23 people jumped on. I guess the notifications went out. Welcome everyone. 29. All right. We got a bunch of people on right now. Christian, that's right. Thanks, Christian. Christian's, I think from what I see on his Instagram, is always into like the JDM stuff and doing like the green bass thing. So he's really, really into the game. Father and daughter fishing. Ooh, I like that. Is this Father and daughter fishing adventures? Is this a YouTube channel that you guys have? You guys make videos and stuff? If so, go ahead and link your channel in the comments. I'll allow it. Organic Nuns, Rocky, what's up? All right, we got all these questions jumping in. So we're just going to be hanging out. It's going to be open-ended. We're going to do a kind of a, I think one segment what we'll do, Anthony, is we will kind of talk about our year in fishing, and we'll kind of do a review from all over whether it be offshore, surf, you know, shore pounding, whatever. Oh, John. Oh, okay, gotcha. For you and Sam. Awesome. What's up, John? Diego Gomez jumping straight into the questions. Let's go ahead and answer that before the comments drown it out. Diego says, do you recommend the Daiwa Fuego LT reel for surf fishing? Yep.
It's a great option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely it's kind of, I would say, become over the years. Yeah,
it's a staple. It's definitely one of the go-tos if you're selling reels. Mag sealed, so it offers a lot of protection. The only thing I do recommend is on that front where that little selector is for the anti-reverse, pack that with some grease because that's going to be the water intrusion point. So you want to make sure that's sealed up.
You know, I was going to ask you about that because of the ITXCB.
Yep.
So I had it in my mind.
Takes us back when I said I like the Inspira better because it doesn't have the selector. For my surf reels, if it doesn't have the selector, it's for me. But if you like the feel of the Daiwa Fuego, you like the price point, and it works for you, then just try to pack that with some really thick grease.
We're gonna jump straight into this. Oh, where's my? Oh man. Okay. I don't know where my ITX is. All right. So in the beginning of the year, so this has been really a year of just learning, and adjusting to new gear for me. And so in the beginning of the year, we introduced, obviously I joined the team Okuma in the beginning of 2024. So it's just been and we were talking about products, and I had fished it a little bit, but I wasn't I was still getting used to everything, And so the reel that really caught my attention at first was the ITXCB. Anthony was like, I really like this one. And I felt this one. I was like, oh, okay, it's good. And then, but I felt the ITXCB, and I'm like, dude, the ITXCB is what it is, right? So we kind of had our little difference there, right? And what happens when I go against the opinion of Anthony? maybe 100% of the time, but I'll go ahead and give myself 1%. 99% of the time, he's right. So I still fully recommend the ITX CB. So I will say this about the ITX CB. It has a higher price point, about $50 more. But what I do like about it is, in my opinion, it's a smoother reel.
It is. Out of the box, it's a smoother reel.
It's smoother, and these are the little bells and whistles that jumped out at me. It was smoother, and I like the sound of the drag better. It felt a little bit like tighter, like a little nicer. So I was all over it. However, as Anthony pointed out from the very, very beginning, the Inspira doesn't have an anti-reverse switch. Yeah. And he brought that up. I was like, right? Because I was fishing the Daiwa Fuego for years, per Anthony's recommendation. Yeah. And
it's still a great reel.
Yeah, it's a fantastic reel, and it has the anti-reverse switch. And I will say this much about the Daiwa Fuego. For whatever reason, maybe it was just me. I mean, I got that thing like waves bouncing over it like multiple times, and it was still like it wasn't perfect, but it was still very, very functional. So I'm like, dude, who cares if there's an anti-reverse switch? I guess the Fuego is just made well, like
they seal it up really well. They use good internal components, but you still see, I mean, just any reel, any reel in the surf, we're putting it in the worst fishing environment out there, and we're expecting it to do really well. There's if you want to go spend $500, $600, $700 on reels that are sealed better, you can. But there's the Daiwa Fuego. I've had them. I still own them. They'll run for years. The Inspiras, I've been fishing that almost exclusively since I'm on Team Okuma. Nothing against Daiwa, just I got to play for the team I'm on, and that's the answer. It's running in that $100 price point. Fairly lightweight, no front selector switch, which that's a big thing for me. That was something I've talked to Daiwa about. I told the Daiwa rep multiple times, can we get rid of it? Let's make it a true surf reel. And very few anglers actually utilize that feature. So we, if we were going to market it or it's going to be used heavily for that saltwater environment, we should get rid of it. Right. For Okuma, we've been working on stuff and trying to find little things that make it better. We are a slightly smaller company, so it makes it easier for us to be a little bit more mobile and adjustable.
I've noticed that for sure.
Yeah, especially on the rod side. Owning the factory and being able to produce our own rods gives us a lot of flexibility. On the reel side, we're still adapting, still learning, and just we will continuously be learning for the rest of our lives. But I'm a big fan of that reel for $100. But there's nothing wrong with the Fuego at all.
So Fuego is awesome. I will say, I fished Daiwa quite a bit prior to joining Okuma, and so I had the Certate, the Ballistic, the whatever. The Fuego is kind of like, I think in the hand it feels a little like more budget price, but it's still really smooth, good drag. This is, I would say, Akuma's like comparable to the Fuego.
Yep, that would be something.
A little bit cheaper.
It's a couple dollars. It's in the same price point.
Same price point.
I think it's $100 versus the 110. So I don't think that's a deal breaker for anybody looking at a surf reel.
So I will say, the reason why I grabbed this reel is because last week I had a wave like hit me this high, and this thing went under. So it just went completely under. I was like, no, but I don't know if it's perfect, but tell me how you feel.
Yeah, no, these things run. So I bought one when I first got on. My buddy was going to Aruba, so I let him borrow it to go over there just to fish some of that inshore, the smaller fish. Well, when he got back, I never got the reel back. So it spent a year on the half-day boat down in San Diego. And it was the reel that the guys were using, the crew were using just to goof off and catch calicos on the trip. And that reel just, when I got it back from them finally, they obviously didn't rinse it off as much as they should have, but when I got it back, it was still 100%. I could take it out and go fish it. It wasn't the smoothest, but I could still keep fishing it. And there's nothing that you're going to do that's worse than what those deckhands are going to do to a reel on a sport boat for a season, especially a half-day boat. But
so this is the first Inspira that I got in the beginning of the year, and I'm still fishing it, and it's great. It's either perfect or close to perfect. It's pretty darn good. So I'm actually like extremely wow. So my ITX. So the context with that is the ITX. I was fishing NorCal. I caught a striper, had my reel on the sand, and the powerful wave energy up there. boom, it just crushed it. And then I think I showed you the reel picture of it. Yeah, it was game over, man. Like it was game over. So I had to get another ITX-CB. So doesn't mean the ITX-CB can't withstand the surf. It just means that if you're in NorCal and it becomes submerged under a wave going under with all the sand in the sand, yeah, it's yeah. So
if that happens to any brand reel,
yeah,
just get them serviced right away. That's the best thing.
Right. So anyways, all that said, someone asked about the Daiwa Fuego, great reel, and we kind of went on a little rabbit hole, but yeah.
Fuego's a great reel.
Yeah. Let's catch up on some of these comments. Okuma ITX-CB is one of the farthest casting reels I've used. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Organic Nons. Straw Hat Fisherman, what's up, brother? It was great meeting you at Fisherman's Access, and I appreciate all the positive comments, man. Really appreciate you. Raul Sarmiento, good evening. Greg Sato, boys with their toys, just hanging out. The fun happens after the live. Check it out, the PCS show. They're nice. This one's for you, Anthony. Organic Nons, do they make a bigger handle to hold on to for the CB?
No, not a factory one. The CB was really designed as like a finesse JDM bass reel. Benji fell in love with it and was promoting it on that saltwater side, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't designed for, catching bigger halibut, bigger, possibly a ray, or, white sea bass or leopard sharks. It was really designed as a finesse freshwater bass reel.
Got it.
So no interchangeable knob on that one.
Yeah. And Eric, thank you for letting me know about all the commercials. I apologize, guys. I do have ads turned on, but I didn't intend for them to turn on like every 30 seconds. So maybe that's why our live is not going up and down in numbers. Caden, so what you're saying is I need to buy more reels. Yeah, duh. Caden, welcome, man. You've been crushing it this year. New fisherman. Dude, Caden is a channel member, and he just started this year. And he's caught, I think, a legal white sea bass. I think like pretty big he's caught and he's just like still figuring it out. So pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
But he's fishing multiple times a week, and he's just putting in the time.
That's the biggest thing.
So
I preach that.
Like for me, like you meet a lot of people on social media and asking questions, and a lot of people ask lots of questions, wanting to catch fish, but very few number of people asking questions or talking about fishing actually go out there and actually put in the time.
Yep.
And so Caden is an example, and not diminish anyone else out there putting their time in, but Caden is someone I know has been putting time in as a newer fisherman and just been crushing it this year. So congratulations on a great year, brother. Hello from Hobo Kenny. Hello, Hobo Kenny. Caden, that's what Christmas is all about. Buying yourself more stuff at Big Lout Fishing. SoCal Sam, would you say that you would need a surf setup to surf fish for halibut? Would you say that you need a surf setup to surf fish for halibut? I think I understand what you're saying, but no, you don't need a dedicated, specifically made for the surf. Like a lot of stuff that we're fishing from the surf crosses over.
So, I mean, with that question, it's all about conditions, right? So if you're fishing a lot of these flatter beaches, there's nothing wrong with using a 7.5 foot bass rod, something rated 6 to 12, putting some 10 or 12 pound test line on there and fishing your jerk baits. Your Lucky Craft 110s, 115s, whatever.
Yeah.
So no, you don't need a designated surf setup. But it is nice because typically on your surf setup, they get beat up more. So you don't want to take your higher end freshwater bass fishing setup and go to the surf. Make sure if you do take your freshwater bass setup that your reel is compatible. Most of the reels that have magnesium in it are not going to be okay for saltwater. They will deteriorate quickly.
Go ahead. You're fine.
So you definitely want to, if you're going to do a lot of fishing in the surf, get a designated setup. But if you're not going to fish a lot and you just want to go once in a while, yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking your setups. Just make sure that the reel's okay in the saltwater. Some will specifically say not okay for saltwater.
Got it. Okay, so while Anthony was talking, I changed the monetization thing. Some reason if so many ads are coming on, I apologize, guys. Let me know if that continues to be a problem. Let's see here. Osai Coffee, Anthony, maybe you can take this one. Any recommendations for spotty rods fishing a 1/4 ounce a lot with Big Lout plastics?
So we definitely have some good options. Are you looking for bait caster or
I'm assuming
spinning?
I'm assuming he's talking about spinning, but I'm not 100% sure.
So if you're looking at the bait caster options, then I would look at the guide select, and then we also have the guide select crankbait rod. Do you have one of the crankbait rods here? We have some rods that were designated as crankbait rods. I think this is the heavy one.
I think all the ones.
Yeah, so the medium heavy. This is the heavier one. That's a great calico rod. We have the 7-foot medium, and that rod is a really, really good spotty rod. It's something that you can use for your smaller lead heads. You can use for your crankbaits if you want. You can use for spinner baits, chatter baits, drop shotting, any of that. If you want to go spinning, we do have. I draw a blank here.
Sorry, I was looking for the rod. So
trying to think, our 7.5 foot spinning rods. That would be good. They're based on your budget. We have like the EVXs. We also have the heavier TCSs. We have the Saros. I would look at a 7-foot medium heavy, and then 7, 7.4, 7.6 somewhere in there, but usually 7.6 or less. Something medium heavy rated, quarter ounce to, or I mean, you could even go lighter, but either 1/8 ounce or a quarter ounce to a half ounce, 3/4 ounce.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. We'll get to your questions in a second, but let's jump into one of the things that we were looking forward to sharing with you guys. I want to have Anthony introduce a new product, and then we will also we'll just kind of go into a year in review, like how the fishing was for us this year, all across the board, and we can kind of talk about that a little bit, and then we can keep answering your questions. But Anthony, one of the reasons why I want to set this up is you want to introduce a new rod for us from Okuma. Yep. And I think we're both pretty interested with this. Yep. So you want to kind of show us what you got?
So what we have, guys, is a newer rendition of a rod that's already on the market, but that's going to be the Hawaiian. I'll try to get that. The Hawaiian Custom. So a lot of you guys are probably familiar with the bright blue ones that we had. This is going to be the newer version. It's going to be lighter weight and stronger blank material. I personally like the aesthetics a lot more. You can kind of see the Hawaiian Islands are on there. Hawaiian Custom. It's going to go into a cork EVA combo grip, a screw up reel seat. Yeah, nothing too fancy, but I definitely like the aesthetics a lot more. They are with it being a different blank material than the original Hawaiian Custom. It is going to have a little bit of a different feel. So it's a much lighter weight rod than the blue ones. But again, a very, very strong blank material.
Yeah. Can I see the top end too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I'll preface this by saying I've never fished the OG Hawaiian Custom. Yep. Just because of the specs. It was, at least on paper, too heavy for my liking. And so, the Rockaway SP, the 10-foot comes in at, I think, 5.8 ounces, which is pretty light for what it is, a 10-foot rod. Yep. And it paired up really well with like my 3000 size reels that were around 7 to 8 ounces. And so I really liked that matchup. I felt like it balanced really well. But I stayed away from the Hawaiian Custom because it was at least a couple of ounces heavier on the comparable weights. But this one, I mean, it is different. It's looks way more finesse, and I was holding it. It's very light.
The weight on it is mostly because of the grip going to come in slightly heavier than the Rockaway SP, but it is very comparable to the Rockaway SP. It's not much heavier, but because it does have a little bit bulkier of a grip versus that very sleek molded grip that comes on the Rockaways, it's going to come in a tiny bit heavier. Yeah, it's going to come in a variety of sizes. So we will have the 8.6 and the 9-foot, which are going to be great for our market. The medium and the medium, it comes in other sizes, but they're going to be the two hot sizes, I think. The medium heavy is going to come in, forgive me, we don't even have the specs online yet. 3/8 to 1.5 ounce is the lure range. So great again for your drop shot, your Lucky Crafts, your Cast Masters. So if you do want to throw any of the metal spoons, I'm a big fan of the metal spoons. Love the Lucky Crafts, love fishing them. But there are times where I like fishing that deeper water. I don't like being constrained to fishing a certain tide. We all know time is tight, especially with the holidays, and you want to get out when you can. So I keep like a 3/4 ounce, a 1 ounce Cast Master, usually a single hook on it, pretty much in my box at all times. Chrome and blue, chrome and red, they're my favorite colors. This rod will cast it really well. It'll have the 8.5 foot and the 9 foot options. Then we have the 8 and 9 foot options in just the medium, and that one's going to be 3/8 to 1 ounce. So still something that you can do your Lucky Craft with. Definitely fits in there. You could definitely do some drop shotting. But it is going to run a little softer. So like we were talking about it before, I think that one definitely has more of a Carolina feel to it. Versus it seems like it's a little bit faster. Action. So definitely a good Carolina rig rod. Whereas I think the other one will be a better lure rod.
The OG Hawaiian.
Well, the OG Hawaiian had more flex to it, right? Because there's a lot more glass.
It was very whippier.
It was whippier, for sure. So it had like that deep load up. So when you cast it, you could really feel that load up through the rod, and it was slower. So it would take longer.
It was bending like near the middle of the rod, right? As opposed to,
whereas this one's a lot faster. So you're going to feel a lot of that power coming up on that front end.
Yeah.
But with that, you're going to get that sensitivity on the tip of that thing. So I think what you're going to see is a really good Carolina rig rod, good drop shot, anything where you're staying in tune. But still capable of being versatile enough to switch over to a Lucky Craft or even your lighter Cast Master.
Right. So I'm actually, so again, this is my first time holding it tonight, and it felt really nice. It felt very natural in my hands. So that was a big plus right off the bat. If I'm hold the rod for the first time, it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to want to fish it. But
I don't know what the length is on that.
On the butt?
But it looks to be, I'd say that's probably about 14, 15 inches.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things with the Rockaway SP that is somewhat divisive is...
Put that in the middle.
Yeah.
There you go. Real seat to real seat.
Yeah. So the longer butt on the Rockaway SP, some love it, some hate it. And you got to fish what you love. And so this was a little bit polarizing with the Rockaway SP is how long the butt is. But
kind of see. There's the end. And if we go, we should probably untangle those, put middle of the reel seat to middle of the reel seat.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of see there, we're looking at, 4 or 4.5 inches here, which I know a lot of guys are cutting to that 4-inch line and then adding their butt caps. So the Hawaiian Custom is going to come to that length where a lot of people are cutting it down to. So like I said, I think this is 14, about 14 inches.
Okay. Yeah. So I really love the feel of it. I'm actually interested in it, and I think I plan on fishing it just to test it out and see how I like it.
They have already started shipping to some stores, the stores that got in on the first order. That first order went really quickly. So we brought them in, and I don't think anybody anticipated them selling out as quickly as they did. But I do know that several of the stores, I know, like if you're up in Bakersfield, Cope's Tackle has some still. If you're down here, in Brea, Fisherman's Access has them. Who else got some? Young's Tackle, I believe, had some in there. So there's definitely, I don't know, a lot of stores got a couple to try them out. And, I've gotten a few messages from some different guys saying, hey, I already picked it up. I like it. So just waiting to hear. There is no hook keeper on it. That is one thing. Diego, I saw that come through. Benji and I were talking about that beforehand. Still trying to figure out. I'm not sure why it doesn't have a hook keeper. But I do recommend if you get those Fuji aftermarket hook keepers, you can put them wherever you want on the rod, adjust them for whatever's comfortable or based on the rig that you're using. So I do recommend picking up a pack of those, at your local shop if you're picking that rod up. You definitely want some kind of hook keeper.
Yeah. Let's get through some of these questions. Timothy Pham, thank you so much, man. Much love to you, brother. And I feel so bad. We talked about a couple different times about me taking you out to hunt Sightfish Corbina, and I wasn't able to do it in 2024.
Not over yet.
Well, I know it's not over, but in terms of like the official sight fishing season, you can still sight fish them, but
it's a lot tougher.
Yeah. So, but Tim would love. I mean, one of my favorite things is just meeting cool people at the trout ponds, and you're one of those guys. And so Would love to get a session, several sessions with you this season. Thanks so much for checking in, brother. Josh is asking if this comes in pink. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Yep.
No, it's not coming in pink.
So yeah, Bob, right now, the ones that Anthony recommends for SoCal waters, 8'6" and 9 foot.
Yep.
The 9 foot has an M and an MH.
It'll be the B model. So like that one will be the 902 MB. Whereas if you look up and you don't see that B in there, it's going to be referring to the blue model. So if you are interested in it, or you're looking online at your favorite tackle store online, make sure that you're getting the one that has the B in the model number. Good stuff. Yeah. Your boy Q.
Oh, what's up, dude?
Q Ball's always here for Anthony. Thanks for saying hello, brother. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, dude.
Yeah. Ken Ueda, Merry Christmas. Keep them coming. We're going to do our best, man. Can't stop, won't stop. We're going to keep doing it, man. Steven Garcia, any good for shore jigging? I would imagine so. No?
Yeah. What kind of shore jigging?
Well, I was assuming like micro jigs or even spoons, like Castmasters. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
maybe. I think yeah, I don't know how he's fishing it, but
Right.
you know, if you're doing like the submission jigs or
Mhm.
you know, whatever, yeah, you could probably fish those on there if you're just hopping a metal jig
Right.
at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So yeah, to be determined, Steven, but thank you for the question. Tuan Nguyen, hey, what's up? From Seal Beach, welcome.
Diego, I don't know if the longfin got any on the first order. It was some stores that ordered them didn't get them. They, you know, it was just first in, first out, whatever orders went in. I don't work directly with the longfin. My counterpart does, so I'm not sure what their inventory looks like. You could always give them a call. If they don't, Brea's right up the street. Hit up Jack or Jake at Fisherman's Access. Those guys will be stoked to help you out. And I know I just talked to the boys tonight. They had some left, so
Yeah.
They went a little heavier on their first order. So
Yeah.
I know they had some left tonight, so that might be worth a phone call as well. And if you haven't been there, just an incredible store, definitely worth the drive.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And then I think one thing that I've learned since being in the like seeing what goes on behind the scenes with shops, like if longfin is your shop and you want them to carry more,
They'll order.
every time you go, let them know that you want to see more Okuma stuff, and that will really help. The
Yeah,
shop.
they listen. They want to order what you guys want, and if you want to special order it, they'll happy to do it, and we can definitely help them with that.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, absolutely. Give me a call, man. Let's go catch some stock trout. Steve said 20 to 40 gram jigs. So 40 gram might be a little bit on the heavy side.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. If you're doing if you're hopping lighter jigs, so the M is only rated up to 1 ounce, and the MH is rated up to 1.5 ounces. So the 40 gram is pushing it on both of those. It'll be on the higher end of that. It being a longer rod, not necessarily what I'm using to hop jigs, but you definitely can for the 20 grams if you want to hop those around.
Yeah, good stuff. Ben Kissinger, thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it. Tadpole, what do you guys like throwing around OC beaches? It depends on what you're targeting.
Drop shot, Carolina rig,
Yeah,
and your Lucky Craft. If you put a metal spoon in your bag, you put a Lucky Craft in your bag, and you're rigged up for some drop shot in case the surf's up, the weeds are up, there's a lot of junk in the water, that's a great option to let you keep fishing. And then your Carolina rig for any of your finesse or even dragging big flukes behind, that'll have you covered 100%.
yeah. I would say the two, especially if you're newer to the surf game in Southern California, I'll say the two most forgiving styles of fishing to start off with at least what I would recommend is the Carolina rig or the drop shot.
Yep.
Those two. The Lucky Craft, obviously, it's my favorite thing to do, and it's what I do like most of the time now.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out, there could be a little bit of a learning curve potentially.
I mean, Benji had his Lucky Craft for.
It took a while. Let's just put it that way. But it's kind of weird like that, because the reason I didn't understand it is because the LC, like all it is you cast it and you retrieve it.
So that was what we talked about.
But there's so many nuances in that.
There's and that was what we typically when I sold a Lucky Craft to somebody or recommended it, I didn't do a full breakdown on it, right? I wanted you to go put some time in, and then you figure out something that works for you and adapt. And then if I'm selling you your lure and you're all excited about buying it and I'm giving you all this stuff, you're going to forget it all.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go fish it, when you come back in to talk to me and you're like, hey, I'm not getting bit, like what
Mhm.
the conversation we had,
Mhm.
it was, well, how are you fishing it?
Yeah.
I just cast and wind it.
Mhm.
Well, did you try, dropping
Mhm.
your rod tip when the wave's going
Yeah.
back down? And, did you do little pops on it
Yeah.
and vary your retrieve up and side swipe it and stutter it?
Yeah.
Like, just keep adapting based on the conditions you're seeing and what you're fishing.
Yeah.
And, when you're frustrated, you typically listen a little bit better. Like you've
Yeah.
already gone out, you've put some time in, you're not connecting, then you're actually more apt to listen. Whereas you're buying a lure, they work well. Who cares what the guy at the shop tells you? Because they work well. You're going to get bit.
Yeah.
So that was usually my approach. And some guys went out and figured it out real quick. Maybe their background was more extensive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some guys went out, fished it. Some guys, I still see the comments where guys are like, hey, I've been fishing it for, a month. I haven't caught anything. Anybody else having luck with them?
Yeah.
They work great, but don't be afraid to mix up your retrieves, walk the beach, pay attention to your tides. If you do get bit, note what time of the tide it is, where you're at, and start putting stuff together. Because if you get a condition that's biting here, well, it's probably going to be biting over there too if you have the same conditions, But water temp is huge, time of the tide, time of year. So if it's, if you like fishing an extreme low tide one time of year, the other time of year might not work as good because maybe those fish are too hot in that extreme low tide, or maybe they're too cold in that extreme low tide.
Yeah.
So just adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, surf fishing or fishing just in general is just like you're doing a jigsaw puzzle.
Yep.
And each little piece of the puzzle is one little variable. He mentioned a lot of them: water temps, water conditions. I'm constantly looking at conditions before I go out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's not going to determine whether I go out. I'm going to go out, but it determines how I'm going to prepare and what to expect when I'm out there. So, Alan's checking in. Alan's on his deathbed, like not literally. He's been really, really sick the past couple of days. So Alan got woke up from the grave and checked in to say hello. So what's up, man? Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, Osai Coffee. Also, any chance of a bait session with Big Loud on vid this year would be fun to watch. Yeah. So as you guys know, most of you guys know, Josh has my Scout. And I've been wanting to go out, and I told him he can use it as if it's his boat. It's just he has to be my captain anytime I go down there. I just haven't gone down there. It's so 100% yes, as long as Josh is still willing to take me. We're going to do a spotty session down there in San Diego Bay or Mission Bay, maybe early spring. Like it's one of my higher priorities of filming something like that in 2025. So definitely going to be happening. What do we got here? Rhymes to Orange for the Carolina rig. What are you putting on the hook? So during the summertime, probably the best bait to use because it's very easy to find and it's free is sand crabs. If you're using real bait, you can also use lugworms. From the artificial side, very little can beat the gulp camo worms. It has that scent on it, and it's like the best starter bait for the sea rig.
It's a durable plastic. It's pre-scented.
Yeah.
You don't have to store them in the refrigerator, so you can put them in your bag and you're ready to go.
Yep.
My go-to, I have the Big Hammer curly tails in the motor oil red flake.
Mm-hmm.
I have the camo sandworms and the small ones that are already pre-cut up, so you don't have to sit there and cut them.
Yeah.
And then, there's a ton of great options. Glenn has his baits out there.
Yep.
There's a ton of garage bait options if you don't want to go as commercial.
Yeah.
But just a grub of some kind, the live bait, like you said, or if you want to fish the Carolina rig for halibut, especially around structure, I use a bullet weight so you don't get snagged as much. Yep. And then you can put a fluke on a weedless hook and drag that around like it's a dying smell or a dying grunion.
Yeah. And then Big Loud Baits, Josh's bait company, bigloudfishing.com. I think it's bigloudfishing.com. You can use the perch punchers. It's like a 2-inch grubs. Mm-hmm. So you can do that. So sea rig, that's how long is a leader? I would start
changes based on
variable
condition. Mm-hmm. So if it is a big swell, it's a little more turbulent. I typically go shorter. That way it's not getting tangled up as easily. And if it's a nice flat, calm day and you're sight fishing, I like to go longer because I don't want that weight. I don't want them keying in on the weight. I want them keying in on the bait. So really it's conditional. It might be anywhere from, I fished it as short as 6 inches because it was kind of shitty out. and I've gone as much as 18 to 2 feet, 18 inches to 2 feet, you know, just based on conditions. So
got it. Tracy, how come you never use hookup baits? It's just not my thing. I've thrown them before, but I don't really throw tube baits. I know they work and they catch fish, and so everyone should use what they want.
Yep.
So that's it. Yeah, nothing else other than that. Tuan Nguyen, intake worm kills at the surf if you know where to find them. Awesome, keep that in mind. Steve, any recommendations on waders for these colder water temps coming to SoCal? I am in between waders right now. And so I have worn the Compass 360 Deadfalls for about 3 seasons. They run from around 100 to 120 bucks, depending on the season. And each pair lasts me about a year. And I fish the surf always wearing waders. So I'm probably wearing them 4 to 5 times a month for a whole year. So I probably get about 60 to 80 uses out of it before I swap it out. So to me, 100 bucks, 80 uses is worth it to me. If you want to get more expensive ones, Sims is, makes a good product.
Yeah, I went the Sims route. They do have their budget waders. They're still expensive, but really, really nice waders. They're going to hold up well. Once I got my Sims, I haven't varied too much. A lot of the cheaper brands,
right,
you tend to get holes in real quick.
Right.
I do a lot of extreme cold fishing as well, so my waders have to pull double duty.
Right.
So I stopped playing around and just went with the nicer Sims.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Herman, HSera, welcome. Thanks so much. I want to give a shout out to all of the channel members that are hanging out tonight in the chat. Channel membership is obviously a paid feature of being a subscriber on the channel. So I want to thank you, all the members that are hanging out tonight. If you want to become a member, you can find that on the YouTube channel in every video description. And for as little as $3, you can become a channel member. And with that, you get access to about 3 to 4 in-person meetups as a group. Like usually about 20 of us gather anywhere from San Diego to LA. And then depending on the tier of membership that you choose, you can get, there's many different features that I throw out there. From any tier, you get access to our exclusive Discord. And so there's a bunch of us chatting right now that are actually in Discord, and people share their catches, ask questions, and it's very, very customized. Big Lout Fishing is moderating tonight, the chat. Thank you so much, Big Lout. But he also is an admin along with Alan. They help mod the Discord that we have too. And I check in there as much as I can. And we just share the stoke. It's a positive group. So if you want to become a channel member and you're stoked with the channel, invite you to go ahead and join that. And I'm only doing that because I'm so shy to invite people to do it. But Josh always bugs me and says more people would join if you would tell people about it. So that was for you, Josh. Josh was my very, very first channel member when I first started it. And so, awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Bob says I got drift and he loves them. So I've heard good things about drift waders.
Yep, they're definitely going to run a little bit more in line with what Sims are. So if you're looking at that $200 to $300 price point, heard good things. I have not played with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another option.
Yeah. So yeah, we're about 38 minutes into it. We got 54 people hanging out. We've been around 50 for this whole time. So super stoked by that. I want to welcome if you guys are just joining in. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much. My name is Benji. This is Anthony. I just assume that you guys know who we are. But yeah, we're just hanging out. Anthony and I, if you've ever seen the channel, we film like a lot of shop videos. And I'll always be so grateful for Anthony because I think I was probably like at under 1,000 subscribers when I walked into his shop at the time. And I was like, do you think we could film, a channel? And he did it. There was nothing in it for him. For me, like I had a vision and like hopes and plans for things to be good. But honestly, I was just like this. I'm still nobody, but like back then I was just really starting out. He spent, his time sharing his expertise, just helping out fellow fishermen and sharing that stoke. And we've made some videos that have done really well on the channel. And that's all thanks to you,
Well, thanks for doing it because I won't.
No, for sure. And it's been really cool. And so, and through the years we've become friends and just being able to hang out. So I think one of the reasons is because I think we have a shared value of wanting to help the fellow fishermen. And I know he definitely has that value because he helped me. And if someone's willing to help me, he's solid, dude. So Good stuff. Okay, so I think we'll spend a little bit of time. Hopefully, we won't have to drag on too far, but it's the end of the year. I might hit the ponds before the year ends for trout, but I'm done with the surf. We got huge swell right now, and so I'm kind of like I'll get into that later. But as we wrap up the year, maybe we can do a little reminiscing. So, how was your year of fishing? Tell us about it. Like, what were some highlights for you? What were your favorite moments of fishing this year?
This year was pretty good for me. I can't complain. Did a little bit of everything. Where to start? I was chasing tuna this year. Did pretty good on that. A lot of you know I'm not. I've done a lot of tuna, and I'm slowly looking at other things.
Yeah.
I did. What did I? Oh, I was down in Bay of LA this year. Got some grouper, cabria. Definitely had a blast on that trip. I was down there with Fish Arms. They run a great program, and just what a blast that trip was. I love being down on the Baja. I love fishing, fish that we don't get access to every day. It really makes it special when you take the time and you get to go down there. Some of those fish taste amazing, but one thing I've experienced is those fish are just angry. Pound for pound, those warm water fish on the Sea of Cortez, where there's a lot more current than we have on the Pacific side, they are just so strong. Like yellowtail down there, a 20-pound yellowtail there and a 20-pound yellowtail here, they don't compare. It's a much stronger fish.
Yeah.
The grouper, I absolutely got destroyed by a big grouper. Got him in. He was just over 60 pounds. Like,
yeah,
good size fish.
I saw that fight.
Yeah, that one worked me a little bit. But if you guys ever want to tangle with something that's just, they'll hurt you right back, go tangle with a grouper. That was a pretty good sized Gulf grouper. They get bigger, but that was a good one where they're still tasty to eat, fun to catch, but definitely some work. Definitely got into some cabria. That's my passion. Absolutely love fishing artificials for cabria. Took some friends down there for the first time, Alan being one of them. And, it was just fun getting to see the guys catch some of their first of that species or, chasing some of their personal bests. And that was definitely one of the highlights of my year, that trip down there. I'll be back down there at least once this year, probably twice though, this coming year.
Yeah.
Did some trout fishing in Utah, did some trout fishing in Nevada, had some epic trips, just great quality fish, I love that stuff. Just getting out where there's a lot less people and fishing.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Yeah, I'm all over the place. So fly fishing all the way down to conventional gear and did some surf fishing, but that was actually a lot less this year than I had originally planned. I know we had set some plans up. It just didn't work out with the new job. I've been traveling a lot more than I thought I would. So that definitely put a damper on some of my local stuff, but get the kids out for some local pond fishing this year for the trout. And, in the spring, that bluegill fishery at our local ponds is a blast. I love fishing those.
Yeah.
I think that sums up my year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sum up my year of fishing with the story. At one point this year, I called Anthony and I said, Anthony,
It's a commercial break.
No,
Never mind.
it's fine. Yeah. I know it's jumping to commercial every now and then. Hopefully they're not long. Thanks for dealing with that, guys. But yeah, I'd sum up my year of fishing. Earlier this year, I gave Anthony a call and he's like, what's up? I'm like, Anthony, I need you to tell me the worst stretch of fishing that you've ever experienced. And he told me one that was pretty bad. Can you say that again? What was the worst fishing trip? I don't know if you can remember the exact story. It was some like long trip that you went. It was super cold.
Yeah, I mean, if you fish long enough, you're gonna have your bad days.
Yeah.
Working on the boat, there's plenty of times where you're out there and you might be on a 3-day trip and not a single fish.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely some moments where it's cold out. I know I was up in Pyramid one time and we were camping. It was in the 20s and it was just terrible bite. We could not get on them.
Yeah.
And it's just plenty of times where you skunk, but you just try to learn from it and adapt for the next time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've been fishing long enough now where I realize, absolutely, we're chasing that hot bite, and sometimes you can go weeks on a hot bite, and then there are times when you go weeks on just what am I doing wrong, and you start questioning things, and so that's why I called him asking, tell me your worst one, because I had just done a NorCal 5-day Central Coast to NorCal trip, And so I spent like a day in Santa Barbara, a day in the Central Coast, and then like a day in NorCal. And I think I caught 1 striper and like 4 perch in like 4 days of fishing, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, I was driving, I was soloing it. And it was like, I spent the time and money to do that. And it just felt like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I can't even catch a perch in the Central Coast. Are you kidding me? You know, like, and so, but, you know, I think part of it is I think my expectations have changed because I think about it. I'm like, oh, I've caught some decent fish this year. It's not like I didn't catch anything, you know, like I caught some decent fish, but I think my expectations are just different. And so I remember when I first started, you know, I would catch a 15-inch halibut and I'd be like, yes, right? This is going on film, right? This is going on the channel tomorrow, right? Like, yes. But now I catch 15-inch halibut and it's like, you know, like
shake it.
Just shake it. Yeah. I just shake it off. I used to measure everything, right? I had my tape, and people give me a lot of poop about it. And you know, yeah, I think we should always say things with kindness. But looking back, they were right. You know, like why was I measuring that 12-inch halibut? You know, like, but in my defense, I was so excited. I was so new.
Well, and that's all part of the learning, right?
Yeah.
That's all part of like, how do you gauge the one that shakes off right at the bank?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a 12-incher. I know because I weighed 10 of them when I was excited about it.
Right.
You know, and when you weigh your fish, and as long as you're handling them well, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all part of the learning.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, I've had earlier in the year, like it started off with a bang, had a day where I was fishing with Kayla, and we made that video, and I think we caught 3 legal halibut amongst the 2 of us, you know, and I think a total like 8 halibut that day, and over like 2 hours, you know, I was like, man, this is the year, you know, this is gonna be the year, and it's been a slow grind. I've been on tilt this year, so I've been wanting to. Like, I've just been wanting to end this. I wanted to have a proper run with surf fishing. So I've just kept going and going and going and going. And 2 weeks ago, I was at a stretch with my friend Eric. I don't know if he's still hanging out here tonight, but 2 weeks ago, we were fishing a low tide, middle of the day, not early morning, not afternoon. It was around 11:30 in the morning. I hooked into something big. And if I had landed that fish, I feel like I could have ended the year right. Like, it would have been a proper end. And I fought that fish for probably, I think, a good 10 or 11 minutes. And I got it all the way up to the edge of the reef. Big fish. It was a big fish. It was a PB something, possibly. You saw the video that I sent you? I did. I sent you the video. You forgot already?
Maybe.
Yeah. But
no. I remember.
Yeah. It seemed like a decent fish, right?
Oh,
man.
For Benji.
It was a good fish,
it was
man.
a fish.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I am going to make that episode, and it's probably going to be the next episode that I post. And but I got it all the way up to the edge of the reef, and it popped. It spit the hook before I could get eyes on it. I saw the fins, the spine sticking out of the water at one point, but it was either a big striper or a big white sea bass. I think it might have been a striper. I'm not sure. But yeah, so you know, it's been hit or miss this year. Had a pretty decent Corbina season. I think I only went out for about 2 weeks, but over those 2 weeks, I caught every time I went out, I was able to pin one. So that was good. Caught a couple of tuna, but I was grinding this year on the tuna too. And so it's felt like a really tough year for me. And I feel like maybe it wasn't as bad as I feel like it was, but emotionally, like, been having some imposter syndrome, like, what the heck's wrong with me? You know, like, why isn't this working out? But like Anthony mentioned just a little while ago, I love the sport. It keeps you humble. And it's actually when you're not doing well, when you have the opportunity to learn. Not everyone takes advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
But when you're not doing well, it really gives you a chance to evaluate and get better. So that's been my fishing year. Eric told me about that fish. Sorry for your loss. Yeah, just given the year, it was a tough one to lose. So, Soul Slayer, what's up, Steve? How come you never asked me to come over? Come over right now, bro, and set up your computer and start live streaming. Soul Slayer has a YouTube channel for what's the game? Call of Duty, I think, right, Steve? But he's a fishing buddy, and Steve's awesome guy, man. Been supporting from the very beginning. I met him through like church softball leagues. One of the better church softball players that I've ever met. A really good player. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think this is the second time we saw this question.
That's
Fishing
like the fifth, I think.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Hey, thank you for continuing to repeat. Have fishing for no reason. Have you guys done any slow pitch jigging for reds? So you want?
Go for it.
Wait, so I think I was assuming that he was talking about like redfish, but then now I think he's talking about rockfish.
Rockfish, yeah.
Rockfish.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Have
have.
you done the other redfish?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
So that's part of the reason why I didn't get to the question because it wasn't like related. I thought maybe he was East
No,
Coast fisher or
I'm
something.
guessing he's talking about red rockfish.
Yeah, that's
slow pitch jigging, rockfish.
that would make a
maybe.
lot more sense because I'm, you know.
Look, rockfish.
Yeah, my bad. Fishing
Yeah.
for no reason. Yeah. Like the whole time I was reading that question, I thought you were talking about reds, like redfish, but then that doesn't make any sense. So, rockfish, I have. I am relatively like only a handful of times, and I'll show you. Did I take it apart? Oh, maybe I took it apart.
Yes, I do fish for reds with slow pitch. All rockfish, really. Lingcod. Like when you're fishing rockfish, you never know what you're going to get. I don't know that there's a really effective way to single out reds unless you're driving the boat as well, and you can figure out how they mark different on the meter, which they do, and then you can increase your chances of having more reds. But yeah, the slow pitch jigging is extremely fun and it's very rewarding. With the rock fishing, pick your rod based on the weight of jig you want to use. The weight of jig is going to be determined by the current and the depth. So right now it's all deep water fishing. So I would recommend using like 300-gram style jigs or even heavier. So make sure that your rod is good with that. The Okuma Tesoro slow pitch rod is a really, really nice rod. I am very familiar with it. It is also the rod I caught my big grouper on. So
really?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, definitely been putting some work in with those rods. I was actually jigging down there in Baja for tan grouper, jigging for various reef fish. So yeah, it's a great rod. The price point it kind of doesn't do it justice. It performs outside of the price point that it's in. Like it could definitely hold its own against rods that are up in that $300 range. Very, very impressed with that rod. So
yeah,
put some quality fish on. But yeah, if you're fishing, I have I think 2 jigging and 3 slow pitch rods. I have the really light, the ML spinning rod for doing like inshore slow pitching for calico, sand bass, spotties in the harbor and the near shore stuff. Definitely that pre-spawn when they start going out to the rocks for the rockfish. I have 2, the medium heavy and the heavy. And then I also went into their standard jigging, the 5.8 double extra heavy and the 6.1 heavy. They're the 2 jigging ones I have.
Yeah. I have a Tesoro jigging rod. I've slow pitched a few times, not a whole lot.
Fishing for no reason. If you want to talk more in depth on them and stuff, feel free to hit me up or Benji up, and we can definitely break them down a little bit more.
Yeah. It seems like you're in the know with the Kuma stuff, though. You're asking about the Tesoro. So, one of the things that I want to do is I want to do shallow water slow pitch jigging up north, like Morrow, where you're just dropping like not.
It's shallow.
Is it too shallow?
No, it's just you get away with a lot lighter up there. So sometimes
the
problem is with the slow pitch jigs, when you get into the lighter ones, you get really small. But we're trying to get big lingcod, so it's really effective fishing like maybe like a 6-inch swim bait on like a 1/2 ounce or a 1 ounce or
it's
even
probably a better option.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot more effective.
I see.
I think.
Okay.
But if they do slide out a little deeper, which they do sometimes, that's where fishing that 150 feet.
Right.
Where you can the Taddy ones. Taddy makes that hybrid slow pitch and the true slow pitch jig, like that leaf style jig for that shallow water. That's one of your better options. If you're fishing deep, you want to go more to like the Okuma Carnado or the Shimano Flatfall or something like that, where they're a little denser. They're going to get you down through that water column a little bit better.
Gotcha. And I got to give a shout out to Submission Fishing. They've been so good to me too. Make some killer slow pitch jigs. Muto's the man. So check out Submission Fishing for your slow pitch needs, along with everything else.
I haven't fished those yet. So, there's nothing against them on my end. I'm not right. There's so many brands and so many good jigs. In all honesty, you're going to end up with a bunch of different styles, and you're going to start looking at the shape of the jig, and you'll start understanding pretty quick after dropping them, like, hey, that style jig is going to go down way deeper before it starts to kick out and do its thing. Whereas you can get like a different brand that's a different shape with the same weight, but it's going to start doing that leaf fall a lot sooner. So it's really going to determine the shape of the jig is going to determine the action and at what point it's going to start doing its thing.
Yeah. Let's get to some of these questions. Rudy says Okuma Tesoro 5 narrow for slow pitch for the win. Yeah, absolutely. I want to get that. What would you?
Tesoros have been discontinued.
Oh, okay.
So if you do want one, I know Fisherman's Access has a couple of the 5 narrows left.
Okay.
The 5s of the 5 narrows on the Tesoros.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for something in a similar price point, though, that is actually designed for it, we have the Kavala 5 narrow.
That's right.
With the oversized jigging handle, which I will tell you makes a difference when you're doing that stuff. For my shallower stuff, I like using the Komodo or a bait caster, if you will.
Yeah.
Whether it's Daiwa, Shimano, Abu, Penn, whatever.
Yeah.
I do like using the bait caster for my shallower stuff. It's nice. It has the level wind, and you're sitting there just working your jig. You're not doing the speed jigging, so you don't need that fast line pickup. If you're doing the speed jigging, you want that faster line pickup. But if you are going to fish maybe a little bit deeper on your lighter setup, get yourself the oversized power handle on that Kavala 5 slow pitch reel, and it does wonders. I've put that combo to the test, and I'm very happy with it.
Gotcha. I'm just going to change gears just a little bit, but I want to do this before I forget. So, what did I do with it? Oh, I put it here. Shoot. Oh, no, this is not it.
Yeah.
What? Why am I so crazy today? Where did I put it? Okay, so without showing you, I got to give a shout out to my friend Marco and a subscriber that I just met like a year and a half ago. Marco sent me for Christmas. He sent me a Tesoro 10, the Star Drag.
Yeah.
And he sent it to my house as a Christmas gift.
That's dope.
And he's the one that met you, and he was
Yep.
super shy.
Yep.
Yeah. So he just did that out of the goodness of my heart. Like, dude, man, like, who has the best subscribers, man? Like, who does that, you know? And so I just got to give a shout out to Marco. I don't know if you're watching, Marco, but just want to thank you for your kindness, man. Really, really appreciate that a lot, dude. You didn't have to do it, man. So thank you so much for that. Let's talk about some other stuff. Daiwa Rock Rover. Which one?
Go up. Oh, so right here.
This one?
Yeah, so you can use swim baits on your slow pitch setup. The slow pitch is just a presentation of a bait, right? There's no right or wrong on what bait you have to use with it. So the presentation of like bottom knocking, right? That's one of my favorite ways of fishing rockfish on the slow pitch setup. You're going to do your big lift up. You're going to drop the rod tip fast. It's a slow lift up, fast drop of the rod tip, and that's going to let the bait work. If you want to use a swim bait on it, that works really, really well. It'll lift the bait up, and then when it falls freely, it's gonna have the side to side action as long as giving your paddle tails really good natural action. Whereas if you control the descent, it kind of stays flat and it just sinks without much motion.
Got it.
So if you want to get those bigger bites, the more aggressive bites, I do recommend the bigger hop up and then dropping down quickly and letting that bait fall naturally. And then you wind into it and you'll go to lift up again. When you feel that weight, just let them have it.
Yeah.
You do got to remember, you don't want to just sit there and start winding into them. You do want to give it a little umph, get a bend in that rod, and then start winding a little more aggressively on the beginning to get that hook buried, because you are using a softer rod.
Yeah.
Once you get the hook buried and it's in there, then you just take your time and just kind of, slow wind them up. But for that first initial one, bury the hook and wind aggressively. Make sure it's buried, because sometimes the lingcod will just bite and hold on, and you just kind of start winding it and they just open their mouth and the jig pops right out. So
yeah. So I mean, right now it's deeper water rock fishing.
Yep.
So get your heavier stuff out.
Yep.
But actually, like, slow pitching is not the worst idea, even in deeper water, because it's so much easier to reel, actually. So I mean, as long as you have the right rod, or no, we just
no, it's perfect. Yeah. If you like deep water,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of deep water, but I was fishing a slow pitch setup in 800 feet of water this year.
Oh my gosh.
It's some work. I mean, you're dropping down, and just as you're dropping, you're like, oh my God, how long is this thing going to keep falling? I gotta get back up.
Right.
But it's very effective, and it's definitely something that if you are looking to get into it, I would definitely keep your eyes open at the Bart Hall show or the PCS show. See what you could get into at a reasonable price. Okuma, I don't know, might have some specials. We'll see what they're coming up with. We'll be there at the shows, though, supporting. So definitely come talk to us in person if you want.
Yeah.
I think we're going to rope Benji into a little bit of time at there too.
Yeah.
But if you want to feel the rods and talk to us about it prior to buying them or trying to find them, then please see us at the show and we'll help you out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I look forward to it. If I get that invite, I'll be there. Okay. Hoodies giveaway Okuma or Lucky Craft. Sorry, no giveaways tonight, but we'll have maybe. I do plan on doing a lot more lives next year, and I'm gonna try to get this guy to jump on like a handful next year. Yeah. Especially as like the spring season rolls around. I know it would be super busy, but would love to do this as much as we can. All right. All right. Well, we are about an hour into it. Do you guys have any other questions? We're just here to hang out. Really enjoyed this time, just talking about a little bit of everything, Yeah. And so that's been really cool. Check out the new Hawaiian Custom. I'm actually going to give it a shot. So I want to try fishing it. Very curious. Actually, and again, my year in review with the Okuma really was, I was nervous, man, because I didn't know if I was going to find stuff that I like fishing. Obviously, I wouldn't have come if, he didn't really give me the confidence to realize that there were things that would fit my style. And absolutely it does. And so it's been really cool. I'm really, really stoked about this rod, and it's worked out, like it's been a year. It took me a while to adjust to this, but now it feels weird fishing a shorter handle for some reason. So, but a little shorter, I think would still be better on it. But.
So, that's something that we have spent some time talking about. That's one of the things with bigger companies is you're trying to make a rod that fits, for the country, not just for one little demographic. So that unfortunately in a lot of the country, they are using the bait and weight, the high-low rigs for perch and whiting and other stuff. So it is a rod that, it was trying to fit the needs of all the anglers where they use a lot of sand spikes and maybe put 3 or 4 rods in the surf. So that particular one does come with the long handle. I know a lot of guys are cutting it down and adding the counterbalance weight, and they fall in love with it after that. But it does change the length of the rod. I would say the development team over at Okuma is absolutely incredible. They're on it. They're aggressively working on some options for us. It's not 100% set in stone, but I do know that they've already ordered some product samples just to investigate further, can we adjust this and still get us what we want? Yeah. And I have high hopes for those. Yeah. So hopefully they're coming out this year. If not, it'll be aggressively for next year, but they already put the order in. So we'll see what comes and keep you guys up to date on that. That might be one of our next live is when we get the samples and kind of go over what we're thinking about it after we get a chance to cast. And
that'll be sick.
Check them out. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be sick. So excited about that. Well, there's a couple of good questions that rolled in. So are you on a time machine? Do you need to get out of here? Okay. So Cold Penguin, can you still target halibut and surf around this time? 100%. It's been a funky year, at least for me. At least in my zones, it's been a funky year. Yeah. But obviously, depending on where you're fishing, it might be different. But absolutely, the fall is actually historically my favorite time to target halibut. Spring is really, really good too. But I love the fall, like right around October and November is usually when I do really well. This year's been, I don't want to go down a rabbit trail of trying to understand why, but it's been a little funky for me. But absolutely, historically, yes, right now is still a good time. Wintertime, like December, January, it does slow down, but I think the opportunity to catch bigger halibut goes up.
I would put my time into targeting halibut in areas where there's deeper water. So, for guys that are asking me now, I would spend time fishing in the harbor. So maybe not specifically surf, but still from shore. Yeah. There's been some pretty impressive halibut catches very recently. And they're, that's one of the things you're looking for is that deeper water drop-offs where there's good water movement. There's going to be constant bait. And those fish are going to have more stable water temps, you know, versus coming up shallow in the surf and being aggressive. It does cool down. Metabolism slows down. The way they eat, the way they hunt changes. So I would just still target them, but I would focus drop shot. I would focus, slower presentations, Carolina rigs, and definitely fish some of that deeper water drop-off stuff.
Good stuff. Diego asked, is an 11-foot rod too much for Lucky Craft? No. I think this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, length of the rod is not as much of a concern as opposed to the specs of a rod. So if you have the line and lure rating appropriate to throw the Lucky Craft, whichever Lucky Craft that might be, it shouldn't matter whether it's a 9-foot or 11-foot. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I mean, going up in rod length has the ability to increase your casting distance. But if your 10-foot rod or your 9-foot rod isn't the right rod for casting the Lucky Craft, then you're not going to be maximizing. So, you got to remember, if you're going to the 11-foot, you're going to be lugging around a lot more weight. And then you also have to remember your Lucky Craft only goes so deep.
Yeah.
So if we're trying to get more long distance out deeper on it, you're not going to be working that water column unless you're heavily adjusting that Lucky Craft to get you down deeper. So just keep that in mind. I have not found a situation where I need anything above a 9-foot as long as you have the right 9-foot.
Yeah.
And a lot of my surf casting in the summertime or in the springtime is a lot more parallel to land. I don't typically walk to the edge of the water and cast straight out because that gives you a very narrow channel that you're working.
Yep.
Whereas if you cast at a 45-degree angle and you're dragging it across, you're
bite
working
zone. Yeah.
so many different parts of that bite zone for a lot longer of a period on one cast. And then I'll keep walking and I'll feel the bottom. If I feel myself dredging the bottom a lot, well, I don't want to make that same cast. I'll adjust my cast and then start going and make sure that I'm barely skipping the bottom. I want to be in contact with it, but I don't want to be dredging it heavily.
Right.
So, if the 11-foot rod is something that you need for where you're fishing, it's not too much at all.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that if you're all day fishing or you're making long stretch, if you want to walk the whole Bolsa Chica stretch, that's a long walk.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the rod that I want to lug around all day.
Right.
So
yeah, Southern California, you can 9-foot is probably prime, 10-foot's fine. 11-foot, unless you're bait and waiting, is probably a little bit of overcut for SoCal. Yeah. If you're fishing Northern California, Central California, I can see the relevance of an 11-foot rod because I think
bigger swells with deeper drop offs.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're trying to get it passed over the swell, and so there's
it's about that. It's about the angle because even the 9-foot gets you over the swell. It's about keeping that angle steep so that you don't create line drag when the waves are coming in. So that's where the 11-foot rod will come in handy for the NorCal guy.
Right.
There's some other guys that fish that a lot. That can break that down. But for what we do down here, that 9-foot is the longest that I effectively fish. I did not get into the 1002. I have a 1002. I was looking for 9-foot options, which is how I ended up with the GLS.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at the Hawaiian Custom.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that 9-foot. I just like the way it breaks down compact. It's not super heavy.
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah. So thanks for the question, Diego. Gonna jump in. I don't know if we're gonna get to everything, but Tuan asked, Okuma Hawaiian Custom or Phoenix Trifecta Light? I can't decide. Please help.
Can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Trifecta Light was a great rod. Still is a great rod. I have nothing bad to say about it. I fished it for a long time and I preached it for a long time.
Yep.
I will say it is refreshing to have a company that's making good quality rods that are not breaking the bank. It's actually fairly affordable to get into a really good quality rod that still has a good warranty with it. Yeah. Their customer service over at Okuma is absolutely incredible. I did preach the Phoenix a lot more before the company sold. I can't speak to the customer service now. I have not interacted with them, so I cannot tell you either way.
Yeah.
They might be great. It might be a little more difficult. I don't know with them being in Texas with a big conglomerate owning them, but some of you probably have testimonies either way, and we'd be interested in hearing it. But I can only say that we're Okuma is located right here in Ontario. Their customer service is absolutely incredible, and I hear a lot of positives.
Me too.
A lot of positive feedback from customers about their customer service experiences. So it gives me a lot of confidence in promoting that rod and that brand.
Yeah, same here. So you guys know how hard I fished the Trifecta Light. So I feel like that'd be really hypocritical of me to be like, oh no, that rod was no, it's fantastic rod. Like, I love fishing it. Yeah.
One of the things I think I've prided myself in is like I'd rather give you the truth than push a specific item.
Yeah.
If like when I was working, at the shop and I had the Phoenix rods and their customer service was absolutely incredible. They were local. it made a positive experience for as many anglers as possible.
Sure.
And it was still a great quality rod. That was an easy sell.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of times guys were looking for alternative options that were affordable, and we sold those. I mean, we had Shimano had a bunch of options, you know, from the Scimitar and
right.
They had a few, the Claris, they had a few options. Landeglass had some great options with the X11s.
Yeah.
Daiwa had the Saltiga, and they also had a few other, the North Coast.
Was it the North Coast or the West? I forgot the name.
No, it was the North Coast.
North Coast.
That was the green
The
highlights.
Saltis rod.
The Saltis was the inshore. That was the Saltiga. No, it was Saltis. It was the black and blue.
Saltis, yeah.
The North Coast was the black and green. The Saltis was the black and blue. I mean, there's some incredible rods out there. The best thing I could tell you, I mean, obviously I'll be biased right now and tell you, go buy an Okuma. I would love you to.
Yeah.
But if you go to your local store and you look for a rod, just make sure that you like the way it feels. And if you don't, shop around or ask them to help get you into a rod that it'd be different. If you want one of the ones we're talking about right now, every store in SoCal has the ability to order them. So just let them know. There was some supply issues with the Rockaway SPs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, we did a forecast based on previous year's sales with them, and Okuma scrambled and did everything they could to get more and more in, and they did a great job bringing in a lot more rods than was forecasted. But it's still a big company with a lot to do, you know, a lot of other rods for other markets that they have to take care of. So this year they forecasted it a lot heavier. So I don't anticipate seeing the big, crazy, hard to get, you know, for the 1002 and the 862M on the Rockaway SP. So they do hear you. They are being aggressive and getting those models in stock and trying to do better, keeping them in stock for us this year.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's just hard to beat that customer service aspect.
Yeah. Good stuff. So hopefully what you're hearing is fish what's right for you, and a lot of great options out there. We're going to give you our opinion. Obviously, you know, we are Team Okuma, so, you know, we're not hiding our bias, but again,
but we'll tell you the truth on it.
Yeah, but we're not taking anything away from any other companies and the products that they have, you know. Couple other questions.
GLS. Yep. Absolutely love that GLS. I think that GLS with an Inspira absolutely feels amazing. I love fishing that, and I was fishing that actually with spoons up in Pyramid.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was.
The M?
The MH.
The MH.
The MH.
Okay.
And that experience kind of ruined me. And I was throwing the 5/8 ounce spoons up there, and oh wow, just it was effortless. I mean, it was casting too far. Literally like outcasting where I wanted to be with just gentle lobs. So started adjusting, and I just fell in love with that combo and started using it for the Lucky Craft. And definitely the Inspira 3000 with the GLS MH, just incredible setup with some balls to it. So if you do hook into a white sea bass or a better halibut or a good striper, you're going to be able to turn them.
M or MH?
So I went the MH because a lot of times with the Lucky Craft, I do want to bump up, or I do want to throw my spoons. Like I told you, I like to fish the crocodiles. And then typically when you're doing that, we are trophy hunting. So you have the opportunity. I just don't want to get into a spot where I hook into a really good fish and the rod is not enough to tire him out before I run out of line. Or you're fighting them for so long that you start bending hooks out, or you start wearing a hole in their mouth as they're rolling around and leveraging off the sand. So I just want a rod that has enough backbone to lift the head up and get them in. Is it fun on small halibut? Not really. You kind of crank them in. You can skip them across the surface like a pancake. If you're getting into the grade fish that you're really looking for, it's where you want to be.
So I'm going to tell you this. I actually got the MH. It was too heavy for me.
Okay.
Like it just felt.
You gotta catch bigger fish. That's his problem. But see, he stopped using the MH, went to the lighter rod, and then he lost his big fish for the exact reason I'm telling you.
Why do you always have to have the last word? Why can't you just let me say I didn't like it? Gosh.
It's like trying to fight Benji. I hold my fist up. He walks into my fist over and over. I don't know why.
So I personally, for throwing the Lucky Craft 110 especially, I feel like the MH could throw the 130 MRS. Like the MRS is a 1 ounce lure, so I think it would
bomb it.
It would bomb the MH would probably be really good, but for the 110, it felt a little light, like too heavy for me.
Yeah, so it's not going to win the casting competition with the 110, but it does cast it really well.
It does cast it. I mean, it did cast. Like I didn't have an issue casting it,
but that's what I'm saying was that if you want, I personally like to bump up. When you asked about the M versus the MH, I went the MH because I like fishing the Cast Masters.
Yeah.
And it fishes the Lucky Craft. But again, my Lucky Craft is like, you never see me going for distance on a Lucky Craft. You know, I see foaming fish out there by the piers, especially like that San Diego area where sometimes those bonito will come in off of like Ocean Beach or something. You'll see me with a 1 ounce crocodile and I want to bomb it. So I went DMH. And my Lucky Craft fishing, I don't bomb it out super far. It's usually 45-degree angle, and I'm fine doing a little less distance and spending more time in that strike zone. But that allows you to work the bait effectively because you have more control of it when it's a little closer.
100%.
So that's my reasoning, and that's kind of why I went that way. It does. If you fish the Rockaway SP and then you fish the GLS, yes, it does feel like you're losing distance because you are. But
I mean, I hope you guys are paying attention as Anthony's talking about the Lucky Craft fishing, is how he kept repeating how distance is not the most important thing for him, and how he's not trying to bomb straight out, and he's actually targeting specific areas in close. You would not believe how many questions I get on social media about, I can't throw this thing far enough. And I mean, distance, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have distance, but it's not the most important thing. Like, especially
you just spend so much energy and you don't get the reward because you're not effectively fishing that water column.
Like, you fish, you plan out the tide and you fish the structure that you've scouted and that you put the time in, and it a lot of times is not far. And so distance is not, surf fishing in general in SoCal, distance is not the most important thing. It really isn't. Yeah. So, but I think like when you're unfamiliar and you're entering the game, I think distance would be one of your primary thoughts, right? Yeah. But in our SoCal fishery, it really isn't. So anyways,
we are kind of unique. They do want to be where the food is. The food is in those troughs. The troughs do tend to happen closer to shore because that's where the surge from the waves is happening, which is going to dig up those holes. So you know, anytime you get that sand movement, that's where you're going to see those fish. So if you do have some wind and you do see your mud lines or your sand lines where, you know, the blue water meets the brown water, that's an indicator. Maybe you want to fish in that zone. Stuff's getting churned up. The fish are going to swim through that stuff right on the edges, and they're going to be looking for bait fish and bait that's just, they can't see anything. So it creates a wall where those bigger predatory fish can cruise along. And as the little bait fish, the little crabs, the little, you know, whatever, the worms, as they're getting pushed out, they can just cruise along that wall and just pick at it. So, you know, you putting anything that moves in that zone is going to be effective.
Right. Okay, we're going to finish up here, but Rudy asked, any pointers on LC 130 MRS? That's the brand new Lucky Craft 130 that came out. It's flash minnow, so a little bit bigger, the 130 body compared to the 110, but it looks almost identical. The build looks exactly the same. It's a sinking compared to suspending, 1 to 2 foot diver, so it's still a shallow water diver, but it's sinking, and it's close to 1 ounce. Retrieval, I've been fishing it, so I'm still trying to figure it out, Rudy. I've caught fish on it. I've caught striper on it. I've caught perch on it. I've caught halibut on it. The 110 is still my comfort lure because I just know I've spent so many hours like casting that thing. I know how to swim it. The 130 I'm still adjusting to, but it's the same.
And you're fishing, you like to fish the low tides, so you don't need to get something that gets as far down.
But sometimes like there are a little deeper columns that I wouldn't mind having it drop. You know, I can just wait a little bit. And one thing I noticed about the 130, when it sinks down, it doesn't fall flat. It falls tail first, so it stays up like this, and the bill is up like that. So I kind of like dropping it down and letting it sit like that, and then, you know, start kicking it. But still figuring it out, Rudy. But yeah, I've been doing the exact same retrieve, like jerk, pause, jerk, you know, and I'm trying to figure out the cadence because I want to know.
You should feel the vibrations in your rod tip if you're working a lure properly.
If
you don't feel the vibrations in it, that means it's just coming in still.
Submarining, right?
Yeah, it's just coming in still. So if you're trying to get that vibration that's emitting that bait fish, that frantic bait fish, you know, vibration that fish are keying in on, then you do want to make sure that you're winding fast enough to get it. And once you feel that, you can start adjusting off of that, you know, whether it's the sweeps of your rod or the little pops with your rod, and then the pauses as you're letting it die out. I mean, my favorite analogy is if you go to the pet store, you go to PetSmart or Petco, it's usually the easiest places to find it. If you look in the fish tanks at their fish, there's always a fish tank that has something that's dying.
Mm.
And if you watch what happens, those fish kick up and then they just start sinking out. And a lot of times it's at a down angle, tail down, head up, and they start sinking down. And then they'll do like those little dying kicks as they slowly sink out. Well, that becomes easy prey. I mean, halibut are opportunistic feeders. So, if you get a bait like that and you figure out how to work it and how to sweep the rod to get the kick up and then that dying fall down, you should be catching some fish off of that.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got Q. Awesome Okuma service.
Yep. Love you, Q.
We'll just leave it at that.
I was wondering what rod recommendations for all-around rod. A 300 size bait caster. For an all-around rod, are we talking like going on the boats? Are we talking about freshwater? I know you say all around, but what are you fishing for? The Guide Select crankbait rod, their heaviest, longest one, that allows you to fish like weedless swim baits, like 6-inch weedless swim baits. It allows you to fish some jigs up to like 1 ounce if you want. So I would say comfortably jigs like 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce on the jigs. If you're going to go freshwater fishing with some medium swim baits, it would do well. You could get away with some live bait for calicos and stuff if you're doing, going on a half-day boat or, something in the summer, bonita, stuff like that. All around rod though, I mean, probably
kind of hard to.
Yeah, I mean, if you narrow that down, or if you want to message us on the side, I'm happy to break stuff down. But I would say either look at our Guide Select swim bait rods or something similar from us, or look at like that the Guide Select crankbait rod, but the heaviest crankbait rod that we have.
Good stuff.
What about Hawaii? Go back up. What about Hawaiian Customs? Do you think they're good for? Yes, especially the new ones. That's what the ones we were just kind of talking about tonight. The new ones are going to be the black. It's got the Hawaiian Islands on there. Super cool. That kind of coral colored wrapping on there. These guys here, 100% are going to be another great option for Lucky Crafts. Go feel them and see what you think. I definitely recommend getting a hook keeper for those. Most of the shops sell the Fuji hook keepers. I know for sure. I saw some at Fisherman's Access. I know Young's has them. I know Sam at Island Tackle has them. Johnny's in Pasadena has them. Like every shop I know of, they have them. So I would definitely go check them out. If you guys are all the way up in Santa Barbara or something, go check out Santa Barbara Landing. They just got a couple in as well. They're starting to expand.
Cool.
They just put rods in this year, rods and some reel options. So if you're getting in a surface up there, go check those guys out. They're doing their best to start expanding product and give you guys another option. Hook, line, and sinker up there, another solid store.
So again, I've never thrown the Hawaiian Custom. The one that Anthony just showed you right now is the brand new one that just released very recently. Yep. The older one, the bluer one, I think it throws it well. I've never done it personally, but from what I understand, I think it does throw jerkbaits just fine. This one's lighter and it's a little bit more sleek.
Yeah, lighter weight and stronger blank material. So after seeing the success with the blue one, the bright blue one, I have high hopes for this one. If you're a big fan of the blue one, there should be some still available. Get yourself a backup if that's something that you really, really love. But if you are interested in checking these out, I definitely like the way these feel better. I ordered my 2 already. I'm waiting on those to come in. I didn't try to cut the line. So I let the stores get their first hit. And then after everybody got their first hit, unfortunately we sold out. I did put my order in. So when the next batch comes in, I'll be getting mine and putting them to work. This is, I'm not allowed to fish that one. That's
got it. It's just for show.
That one's it's the sample. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Twan, the new Hawaiian Custom is at Fisherman's Access right now in Brea. So I recommend checking out Fisherman's Access. I think they put a pretty good order of those, and they have the M and the MH in the 9-foot, and do they have the 8'6" too?
They have the 8.6s. I know they have the 8.6s in the medium heavy still. I don't know if the M's are still available.
Yeah.
And then they have the 9 in both the M and the MH available as of tonight.
Okay.
So yeah. Definitely check with them because they were definitely selling out. They did a bigger order. They did the biggest order that I know of. So definitely check them out.
Yeah. All right, Eddie, I'm so sorry. We're about to sign off, but thanks so much for joining. Eddie's one. Eddie, I saw you at Fisherman's Access. Thanks so much for coming out and hanging out. Been really, really kind soul. But really, really appreciate you guys. It's December 23rd, guys. We're a couple days from Christmas.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We've had like 50 or 60 people hanging out this entire hour and a half. It's pretty cool. Just chatting fishing. How awesome is that? Wanted to wish you guys a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Spend time with your loved ones as best you can. Time is short. We're not promised tomorrow, man. So do the best we can with everything. My kids make fun of me. I tell them that all the time. They're like, Dad. But I'm 47, man. Like, I don't know, man. I'm starting to see like the light at the other end of the side. So trying to maximize it. Wonderful 2024. Wishing you guys a wonderful end of this year and a very, very happy new year in 2025. Let's catch a bunch of fish, guys. Let's fish hard. Let's be motivated, keep it positive, and let's make it the most amazing 2025 that we can absolutely be. Anthony, thanks so much for your time, knowledge, experience, good vibes. And much love to you guys. Thank you so much for everything, guys. And until the next one, tie lines.